This 55-year-old is responding to a TikTok that asked older women what it's like being child-free by choice. She is literally glowing.
It has meant a life of complete and total freedom, a life of joy, a life of non-aging, as we can see. There's no filler or Botox in this face. It has meant that I was able to retire from corporate America at the age of 38 years old, to travel the world and live abroad in luxury and style, and I'm still doing that all these years later, all these decades later. I live abroad, I travel, I have businesses, I have money.
Once you make about $60,000 a year for your family, but let's say for you personally, additional income has zero impact on your quality of life. Zero.
Oh my gosh, I don't have stress, I don't have worry, I have joy. It's amazing being child-free for me. Now, to all of your friends and family that are telling you that you're gonna somehow be jealous of those that have children and you're gonna have all this regret, don't believe them.
You have someone in your life that you love, that you've woven yourself together with, and you have some kids so that you have something to do from the time you're 50 till the time you're 80. And so it's a real mistake. It's a barren future without children, man, I can tell you that. It's a real mistake. And so we do a terrible job of say, putting that image forward.
Just real quick, before this keeps going on, the things that she calls out, a thing that she calls amazing, not having a kid, it's everyone's, prerogative whether or not they want to have a kid, create a family, community. But in corporate America, left that to go wherever it is that she wanted, and now she has all of this money. To me, she sounds like a very successful man. But maybe I'm prejudging. Let's keep on listening.
What they're telling you is a total lie, and it is a complete and total scam. Trust me, those of us that are child-free by choice have never looked at our friends that have kids and said, oh, I really wish I would have made that choice.
Without fail, I got to tell you, without fail, I've watched women go through their professional careers, many, many of them. It's a very rare woman who at the age of 30 doesn't consider having a child her primary desire.
No, said none of us ever. In fact, people that have children, and God bless you. You guys, parenthood is one of the hardest things you could ever do in life. God bless all parents, Lord knows. But parents look at us that are child-free and they channel that as jealousy of us because we have our freedom. So I just call it as it is. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So what I want to say to you is, do you make your own choices, live your own life, and enjoy your peace. And if you're soliciting advice from these people, please don't solicit it. And if they offer it, which people tend to do that have children, why don't you just go raise your kids and be happy and do you? It's so weird. It's really weird, people. It's weird. If they give that advice, just let them know that you don't need it and you're good. So I hope this helps. Being child-free at 55 years old means complete and total joy, more choices. Last summer, because Mexico where I live is so hot, I moved to Istanbul, Turkey for the whole summer, had a ball. This summer, I'll be in Europe gallivanting around, having a free hot girl summer. So being child-free equals freedom. I wish the best to you. And if you decide you want to change it in the future, you can always freeze your eggs now and have kids later by surrogate or what have you. You can always adopt, or you can get a puppy. All right, I hope this helps.
She almost had me until she started talking about all this hot girl summer-ish. Ma'am, relax. You're 55. There's no hot girl summering for you. There's just hot girl grandmothering. Well, I guess she can't grandmother because she doesn't want to have kids. Nevertheless, notice what she also said at the end. Well, if you change your mind, then these are the other options for you. Freezing eggs, adoptions, or buying a dog. Could it be that the heads of these families are not just projecting you being able to travel and are trying to get you to see something different or give you advice on something different so you don't have to make one of those three decisions off into the future? But let me just say this. I commend you and congratulate you for the lifestyle that you want to build and the fact that you've retired from work, you've gotten off the hamster wheel, and now you are taking life by the reins and living it the way that you say that you want to live it. But what I find so funny is that when men do what it is that you're doing, they call them predators. But when women do what you're doing, they call them empowered. And now while women ideology is not a monolith when it comes to dealing with should you have kids or should you not have kids, we can still draw conclusions regarding the lifestyles that most women want.
So a woman called me. She said, I'm 50 years old. I have 3 degrees. I'm a very successful entrepreneur, CEO, and I want you to know, Dennis, I deeply regret that I followed the feminist advice at college, because when I come home after a successful day at work to an empty home, no husband, no children, no family, it's not good.
And there's a study out of the University of Pennsylvania from the Population Aging Research Center that goes over loneliness and depression in middle and old age. Are the childless more vulnerable? I'm going to leave a link to the study down in the description box down below so you guys can do more reading. But if you just go down to the abstract, you will see childless women are 46% more likely to report high depression compared to mothers. Now, if you go down to the depression section of this scientific study, you'll see here that poor health was the strongest predictor of depression for both men and women, which I found very interesting because we talk about all day that health is really your wealth and not so much as the monetary version of wealth. Childlessness became significant for women in Model 2 once the effects of marital status were controlled for. Net of other effects, childless women appeared to be more depressed than those who had children. Work status and living alone were not significant. Although there was no significant difference for the never married, the formerly married women were significantly more depressed compared to currently married. For men, childlessness did not appear to have any significant effects on the level of depression. So again, the impact of having a child has shown within studies to have less of an impact on men than to women. Working for pay significantly reduced depression. Again, guys, having your purpose. But the effect of living alone disappeared once marital status was controlled. Now, if you take that study and you marry it to this study by Morgan Stanley, which predicts that 45% of women will be single by 2030, then you begin to understand the issue. Single men are lonely, but single women are empowered, which seems to be a little bit dig at that article that came out not too long ago, which was about talking about the impact of loneliness amongst men. While I pulled up for you guys in Psychology Today, when they reference single women, they showed them as almighty and full of power. Yep, you read that right. It's estimated that 45% of women ages 25 to 44 will be single by 2030, according to Morgan Stanley. With the modern dating market, nearly half of women in their childbearing years will be without a male counterpart. There's a few different reasons for this prediction, and they call out that they're focusing on their careers, going to grad school, traveling, and friends in extended social circles. Also, too, they're not having babies like they used to with all this birth control around, treatments for infertility. I like to add on that there's a culture that supplants, I don't need no man, I'm strong and independent, which they're touted for as being empowered within. But again, if a man is strong and independent, then he's an incel. The more women that are unable to complete their biological imperative of creating a family, the more that will be depressed into the future. And I'm sure the pharmaceutical companies are extremely happy about these numbers.
I am a 51-year-old single mom who lives at home with my parents, and I'm the happiest I have ever been.
No. What? Come on, you don't want to go to bed?
It wasn't always this way, so stick with me here. After graduating from college, I moved a lot, and often far from home. I spent most of my adult life working as a broadcast journalist. I had a dream career. I worked at CNN's Headline News for 7 years. I've interviewed phenomenal women like Janet Jackson and Misty Copeland. I've lived in New York, Doha, Qatar, and traveled to fabulous cities around the world. From the outside looking in, my life probably looked pretty amazing, and sometimes it was. The reality is more complex. I was often alone, expecting to meet a great guy and start a family. When that didn't happen, I decided at age 43 it was time to freeze my eggs. Then at 46, it was time for IVF, using those eggs and sperm from a sperm bank. You think Bumble is stressful? Try picking sperm. When IVF didn't work, I decided it was time to adopt. I kept telling myself the right baby would find me, but eventually realized leaving Doha could improve my odds of being matched with a baby. And that is exactly what happened. Within 8 months of leaving my dream job and moving home to my parents' studio apartment above the garage in Houston with no job lined up, I met my beautiful baby boy, Avery. The journey is not how I planned it, but I wouldn't change a thing.
I really wonder what the first woman would say to this woman giving advice to younger women that are fulfilling everything in a corporate environment, traveling all across the world, not pausing or stopping to consider what their lives are going to be like in their 50s and their 60s and beyond. I wonder what she would say to her. Would you say just don't listen to her? She don't know what she's talking about. She's just projecting.
And a little bit over a week ago, you got to celebrate Mother's Day. It's a wonderful day. It's an easy holiday. Your husband gets you flowers. Your kids maybe make you breakfast. Mine are too young. I just feel excited that I get to be in the game of Mother's Day. There's no greater job. I've said this over and over and over again. Nothing more important and nothing more rewarding than being a mother. And I want to start there because it's got me thinking about how much the intentional disappearance of mothers has contributed to virtually every societal ill wave of feminism that started telling women that it wasn't just enough to have equality with men. It wasn't just enough to say women can now go to work, but now it was sort of this idea that it was incumbent upon women to go to work, right? You should want to be just like a man, not just have equality, but be men, go to work, climb the corporate ladder. All of these things that I am convinced do not make a woman feel fulfilled.
I think at the end of the day, we all have our unique experiences to live on this planet. And I'm not going to shame someone of what they say is their happiness or their existence on said planet. But man, while you do look great for your age, you're not a hot girl. And I don't even know why at 55 years old, you would want to even compare yourself to that. To all 29.1 women that are watching this video right here, consider what you want to do out your life, what would truly make you joyous and truly make you happy. To all the guys like this, if you meet women out there that are more focused on the bag or more focused on jet setting and haven't been focused on creating marriageable, worthy skills throughout their life and how to support you within your program, then leave them by the wayside. Questions, comments, concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. Guys, what do you think about this particular video? I want to see your comments down below. I think this one amongst all the other ones should make for fruitful conversation. Before checking out of here, make sure you also click on my Patreon, check out all the stuff in store, as well as my link to the Modern Man Playbook. Valuable resources to craft yourself into the best version of man in today's modern society. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.
You don't wanna see me get vexed. Bars on your phone, tell 'em man you can't jack. The big girl, the ones who can't stretch. Breaking the neck when we in the car next. You don't wanna see me get vexed. Bars on your phone, tell 'em man you can't jack. The big girl, the ones who can't stretch. Breaking the neck when we in the car next. Dead bars, need defibrillation ASAP. Get boxed with a straight gap. I'm reminded of mind state daylight. Every time that they incline, we go way back. All they wanna be is just ruthless. Never seen warfare.